Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the official Offshore Gamescast newsroom. We are rounding up to episode 108. Joining us today will be, as always, Dave.
And Dylan of the newsroom.
Of the
What is
newsroom.
what is the newsroom?
The newsroom is where
We
we
don't
are.
do news here
The
anymore.
official newsroom. We should. The official newsroom is here.
Well, we do have a breaking news update. If any of you remember from last episode, today was supposed to be about WrestleQuest.
It was.
That WrestleQuest got delayed to
You
August
can
22nd.
hear the audience in the background
Yeah.
and just how disappointed we all are.
It got delayed to August 22nd. That is obviously after the date of this episode. So we will still be doing an episode on that, but coming on September 7th to make up for that delay. Apparently, they found it was like the day before the game was supposed to come out. They found a bug that was like deleting your save progress.
That's bad.
And that's bad. So I think they made the right choice there.
Jeff Jarrett should have been working,
it was
8
him.
hours a day, 7 days a week.
You know him.
Crunching,
he's developing games.
Not being stuck on Twitter all day, And what are we talking about today, though?
We are instead going to talk about Viewfinder. I like this game.
I wanted to play this game.
Lyle is not here. She will not be here for the next 2 episodes just due to scheduling conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
We will miss her. The show must go on. Dave, what are we talking about next week?
Next week, we're going to be talking on August 24th about Atlas Fallen. I beat it.
Can't wait to hear all about the sand sliding.
Well, we'll talk about it. But coming back on the 31st, Lyle will return talking about Stray Gods, the roleplay musical, to which, honestly, I also do want to play. Sounds like it'd be a grand old time, and I love me some good musicals.
As always, if you're listening to this, you enjoy the show, please give us a rating on any podcast platform. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to us, leave a comment, leave a review. Pretty much wherever you're listening to this, that's what really helps support us. It is the best way to support us, and we greatly appreciate it.
In the background, still not over WrestleQuest.
No, so WrestleQuest is causing a big problem around here.
It is.
All right, Viewfinder was developed by Sad Owl Studios. This is their first game.
Debut.
And published by Thunderful Games. That's not the first game they've published.
Never.
It came out on July 17th of 2023 on PS4, PS5, and PC. The concept of this game, if you have not seen any of the trailers, because the trailers do a pretty good job showpiecing pretty much the main concept, but
even just little videos on Twitter and whatnot.
Yeah, it's one of those first-person puzzle games that it definitely plays a lot with perspective. But the main thing is having pictures or taking pictures, and whatever you took a picture of, you can then place that picture, and it like puts it in the world wherever you placed it.
Transposes.
Is that sure? Yeah,
yes.
It transposes it, and it does have a whole story for you to piece together. And we'll talk about story spoilers, but later in the episode, there will be some prompt warning. But I feel the need to discuss it on this one.
Did you play Superliminal?
I've seen some Superliminal, but I've never actually played it.
That's the closest thing that I could think of, and that one alone was a super fun game, but also perspective based.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of perspective in this. So, story. It's more of a story than I was expecting from this, because sometimes they have like a little bit of story. This was dropping little Easter eggs along the way the whole time, and then like a whole big reveal at the end.
Oh my goodness.
Here's the story. Climate change, bad. The world is fucked. Like the real world. You're sent into a simulation. This tech that they have is like it's been I can't think of a good example, but you see it in other things where like you're in a little dome sitting in a chair, and the dome kind of like panel by panel will go away when you're leaving the simulation.
Yeah.
Um, so you're in the simulation that was previously occupied by these 4 scientists that were there trying to find a solution to climate change. They were doing it in there because they let you experiment under rules that don't really apply in the real world. So basically, they could work a lot faster in the simulation.
Mm-hmm.
Your job is to retrieve the machine schematics that they built that controls weather, and then you get out of there, bring it to the real world, and you are helped with your partner, Jesse. She is on the other side, basically talking. You never actually hear your character's voice,
Hmm.
but Jesse will be like talking into your headset, and then after a while, the connection gets bad, so she has to like call you through these little telephone booths in the simulation. And there's an AI cat named Kate.
Ooh.
Cait. Kate
Right.
is wonderful. We love Kate. You can pet Kate. You can pet the cat.
Good. It's a
And
requirement nowadays in games.
yeah, the Kate really enjoys that. All right, so gameplay is where the crux of this game happens, and I will say the game is not super long. It was a little longer than I thought, but it's about maybe 6-7 hours, and that
Hmm.
was doing all the optional levels that there were too.
Okay.
So you start initially with picking up pictures that you just find in a level. It's all level based, so it's basically there's a teleporter at the end of the level. Your job is to just get to the teleporter. Sometimes that teleporter needs to be powered on
Oh.
through all sorts of different various means, but that is how you finish that level.
Do
Get to the
you
teleporter.
beat the game by taking a selfie and then transposing yourself and then going into yourself?
No, but we will get to that concept. We'll talk about that.
Good.
Um, so you you start out by just finding pictures. So you'll find like a photograph of, let's just say, a bridge, and there's a gap that you cannot cross. What you do is you hold that picture up so as the bridge would be lining up. You place it, and boom, there it is, right in the world.
Bridge.
So seeing trailers like they show this,
Mm-hmm.
but still, for maybe the first 2 hours of playing this game, anytime I put a picture down and it just worked, it was like mind blowing.
Yeah.
It was really cool, even though I knew exactly what I was getting into. Actually, doing it was very cool. It works really well. Um, there can be some issues with like depth. So the further an object is in a picture, like the further away you are from it, the further it will be placed in the world if you put that picture down,
Mm-hmm.
and it can be a little hard to judge. Thankfully, you have a rewind button. So you hold down circle, it will rewind, and it will show. You can double tap circle to go back to like the last thing you did, so like the last picture you took, last picture you placed. So it doesn't lock you into anything, or else you'd be
Okay.
kind of fucked.
Mm-hmm.
But you start out just picking up photos. Then eventually there are these stationary cameras on stands that will be like already lined up for you. So it's like, okay, it's starting to get you there. And then you get your own camera that you take around the level with you.
Mm-hmm.
Each level will limit you to like, okay, for this level you have 2 film in your camera. You can take 2 pictures. You
Oh,
have to
that's
make that
it?
work for that level. I mean, levels
Oh,
are
wow.
short,
Right.
but yeah. So it limits you, or else you could just hypothetically take endless pictures of what you need in a level and just
True.
blast through it. And it gets a little funky with that. So let's say you can pick up. Sometimes there's like film in a level to pick up to
Mm-hmm.
replenish that, and maybe this is one of the solutions, but it was one that I think is a good example of how this game works. You have, so there's batteries, right?
Mm-hmm.
Batteries you put on a power grid thing next to the teleporter to power up the teleporter. And there's like a certain number of lights that will pretty much tell you how many batteries you need on the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So there is one level with there's one battery. You needed 4 batteries.
Take a picture of the battery, place it 3 times.
Well, you can't do that because you only have one film.
Ah!
But there was also one film to pick up off to the side. So what you do is
You take a picture with the one battery in, place it. You have 2 batteries. You take one battery. You take batteries and you put them both in, and you take the other film and you take a picture of both batteries. You place it. 4 batteries.
okay. That probably would have worked. So that I did it. It might have been one less picture then that you have, because that in the way I explained it, that would work. What you had to do.
You only need 2 pictures though.
You're right. So you must have had probably only one picture then. This is what the solution was. I described the scenario wrong. You were right. You were right. You could do that.
Hypothetically, in a random situation, I'm right.
Yes. What you had to do is pick up the film and drop it in front of the battery. Take a picture of both of them.
So you
then
have
you
more.
place it, and then you have
Yeah.
And then you pick up the film, and then you have 2 batteries and 1 film to pick up. Take a picture of the next battery in the film, place it, grab the film, take that's kind of, those are what the puzzles are like.
Again, you could have done just the stack of the 2 batteries in the film.
You could have done a stack of 2. I did. You're right. The way I did it was a little
buddy.
longer. A little longer.
On. This is why it took 8 hours.
Yeah, it was just that one puzzle.
I can't do it. You're done with the level. I got 30 batteries. I didn't know when to stop.
There's also, so on top of sound, there are, or I'm sorry, on top of batteries, there is sound that powers up teleporters.
Okay.
And the way that works is, so you can have there's the teleporter, and it's powered up by, like, let's say a wire. It's kind of like a tube, and sometimes it's connected to a lever, and all you have to do is like pull the lever. It's powered up. Sometimes it's just like the end of that wire is just a node, and that node gets powered up by sound being played nearby it.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes there are boom boxes that you can place next to them. Other times it will be a node, wire, and then at the end of the wire is like a speaker. So you have to then that's usually like taking a picture of that and then placing it so the speaker lines up with the next node, but then the node at the end of that still needs to end up being powered up. And then they start adding timed things into it, where if like you stand on a platform, it will power up the teleporter only for a certain amount of time, but sometimes the time is too quick, so you have to take pictures to make it quicker, basically.
Okay.
So, all right, think of it like this. You're standing on a platform. When you step off the platform, the timer will run out real quick. You can't get to the teleporter.
Mm-hmm.
You take a picture of the timer when it's filled, but with like what you would need to power up the teleporter, and then you get closer and place that picture, but in a way that is still connected. It's that.
Okay.
You have 5 different hub areas that you're going between. Each hub area is basically like the little home base for each scientist, and then there's like one final one at the end. And you go through each hub area in like a specific path of teleporters that will take you to the next level, and they all have optional levels you can do that are usually just a little trickier. You will find all sorts of sticky notes from the scientists, audio recordings, and collectibles. Each scientist will have a different collectible in all their levels. You can unlock filters for your camera, so you can. There's like a warm one, a cool
X-ray.
one, and then one is kind of, well, night vision. There's not X-ray.
Hot rod
Uh,
flames.
there's watermelon. Everything has watermelons on it.
Okay.
You unlock that by doing a bonus level that involve watermelon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's also a lot of fun side things to do. So one of them will be like, oh, here's like a cutout of a barcode from something. You can pick that up and it gets added to your little picture slot. So that if you put it down, like a giant barcode appears, and you can like, it's 3D now, and you could step into it, and it's like, oh, a barcode is really just dead trees in a winter forest that you can kind of like walk around in.
Interesting.
It's stuff like that. There's one like there's windmill. I think it was like a painting of windmills, and you place that, and then it becomes a 3D thing where you can go into the level, and there's usually a collectible in there, and you can like go inside the windmills.
Okay.
One of them was really weird. Do you know the like? I'm sure it has a name, but it's like the infinite. It's not a spiral because it's almost square like, but it kind of like goes. It looks like it goes on forever.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts like small towards the front and it gets like bigger as you go back. That's
Okay.
one of them, and you can place it. And it's getting bigger and you keep dropping off the side like onto the next loop. And all the way at the end of it is just weird music playing, but nothing else. And I was
Interesting.
trying to figure out what that was supposed to be. Anyway, that is the crux of how this game works. It's kind of hard to talk about anything else
Mm-hmm.
without just like talking about specific levels, which you've already done a couple.
Yeah.
Um, it is. I didn't find the puzzles too challenging. There were definitely a couple that like I would maybe have to. I was sitting there for maybe 15 minutes trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But overall, it's not too difficult. Oh, I guess I will mention too, like we were saying before, you can't turn the camera around and take selfies, but what you can do with stationary ones, eventually the stationary cameras will start to have timers on them. So like
Mm-hmm.
you hit to take a picture and then the timer counts down and you can run in front of it and it'll just be like a shadow figure.
Interesting.
But you can then place that picture, and wherever that picture is placed, you get teleported to it.
Interesting.
And then there's the violet, which is all purple. This is when the simulation was like learning, and
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. You take a picture of that, it doesn't do shit. You can't replicate that.
Interesting.
So there's even more stuff. It does a good job of staying pretty varied throughout the levels and throughout the game.
Lot to
It
play with.
Yeah, it never felt too like you never got too comfortable doing just like one specific sort of thing.
It was just anxiety the whole time.
I was freaking out. Um the visuals, there's definitely like a style to it. And with some of the
Mm-hmm.
stuff I was mentioning, as you can imagine, it could get a little trippy.
Yeah.
And they really will play with a lot of the perspective stuff as well. One really cool level had like I'm going straight, I see a staircase straight ahead, and I get to it and then it's like, oh wait, that's not a staircase, it was just paint against the wall and the floor to make it look like a staircase from there. So then I turn it, but then it starts to like kind of do that on the fly.
Okay.
So be like, oh, this is a gap, I can't do anything here. And then as you approach it, it like morphs to show like, oh no, it's just painted, but it's a bridge to
That's
make it look
cool.
like it. Yeah, there's it
Looney
does
Tunes.
Looney Tunes. It does Looney Tunes. It does a really good job staying completely varied and fresh throughout the whole thing. I mean, it's not a very long game.
Yeah.
And I had no issues other than cat hair in my PS5.
Shedding season.
The PlayStation was crashing at no fault of the game. Eventually I looked it up and they were like, take off your PlayStation plates and take a look.
Yep.
So I did, and sure enough, the cat hair
They
really
hop up
collected
there.
in there.
They love the heat.
So that was my only performance problem, and it was the cat's fault, not the game's fault.
Yep. Kate's.
Yeah, it was Kate's fault. Kate does talk, for the record. It's a talking cat because it's an AI,
Good.
and they're kind of like guiding you through it. They were clearly there when the other scientists were. So they're like, yes,
left.
these two were always like this, and this person was like this. And through the audio recordings, they do a good job of like showing their relationships with each other, which was sometimes good, sometimes not so good. There was a lot of disagreements about how to handle certain things.
Scientists.
Scientists, All right, boy, this is proving to be a short episode. Let's talk about. We're gonna jump into story spoilers here, because or else that would be all I could say. But I want to talk about the story.
Yeah.
Um, so this is the spoiler alert, Dave. I will say too, I think you would really like this game, just knowing that the types of games you enjoy.
Love puzzle games. This is
You
like right
should.
up my alley.
It is so up your alley.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, story spoilers. When I finish the game, this is an indie game. It's not. It's well received, but it's not exactly like the most popular thing out there. So there's not a lot of discussion from what I was seeing about what I'm thinking the end was.
Mm-hmm.
So one scientist gets a little goes a little overboard. They were hinting plenty of times throughout the game of like, it's real easy in the simulation where time is kind of endless. They made a hint about like 1 second in the real world could be like this amount of time in here. So they were making quite a few references about how you could be tempted when they're trying to find this climate change solution to not just get a solution, but to perfect something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what one scientist was trying to do. And they would not accept anything other than the perfect solution to climate change of just controlling the weather as they see fit. And they were not accepting anything else, and kind of ruined their whole vibe they had going on there. That failed. You do find the machine at the end. You power it on, and it just smoke falls apart. They failed on their journey. They never completed a machine. And then you're so far in, the data is like in the simulation is more corrupted the further you go in. Mm-hmm. So it's all fucked up here. You can't just go back anymore because that data is like getting wiped. So the only way out is to power down and destroy the simulation. And it's very sad with Kate because you basically like saying goodbye to Kate.
Oh no.
And Kate's very sad. They have like a little pouty face and teary eyes, and even when you pet them, they'll still like shut their eyes all happy but have a frowny face.
How could you do this to me, brother?
Kate Hogan. So you do it. It doesn't do a thing where like it gives you a choice. It's like, no, you're powering it down. And the last teleporter at the end of that level takes you to a red planet, which you've seen Earth as red and like fucked because the climate is like it's fucked.
Right.
And it has a dead tree with a sprout, like a live sprout planted right in front of it. You grab the sprout and you get pulled out of the simulation and you have the sprout, which this is the only part I have not completely been able to connect. Like how do you take something out of the simulation with you? But I guess that was kind of always the plan.
You are the simulation.
Now, ready for this? This is what I see no one talk about. If you are listening to all the audio recordings and reading all the sticky notes and everything like that, you will find out one of the scientists was working on a whole biofiltration process of plants basically being able to water themselves and sustain that water within themselves. So just plants basically wouldn't need like rainwater. Mm-hmm. And it was something with the soil, and the scientists eventually like they kept showing like, oh no, this soil's not working, this soil isn't right, it's not doing what it needs to. And there was a whole big fight about how like the soil is just a band-aid. Why are they even working on it? It's not going to actually solve everything. And I'm just sitting here, no one, I was on the Reddit and everything. Mm-hmm. No one was talking about the soil. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking that's pretty clearly that sprout. Somehow the scientists, when they left the simulation or something happened to them, somehow the one scientist that was clearly working on the soil stuff planted this little sprout as like a last ditch effort, and it worked. Mm-hmm. No one's talking about that. And there are a lot of hints too about how like as scientists and the work they're doing, their legacies will never be remembered until like they're dead. The results will come later, and they're not going to be here for it. Which it kind of also hints to me that these scientists are probably dead, and then the soil is here, and you're bringing it back, and it's like that's the
Yeah.
result.
You are the birth of something new.
Yeah, and the game ends with like you coming out of the simulation, so the panels are there, and you see your partner Jesse through like the glass with the microphone, like, oh, thank God we got you. Wait, what's that? As you're like holding the soil, and then the game ends. It was cool. I liked how that all was. It was one of those instances where it felt like, huh, listening to all the audio shit and reading all the sticky notes actually made this make sense.
Right.
And it's never like that.
Curious if I play it not knowing that, I've been like, what's happening?
I'm realizing now I probably should have set the score of the game before the spoiler alert.
If you're listening and you didn't want to hear the spoilers, skip to now.
But no, okay, yeah, 8.5 out of 10 is my final score. This was a really good game.
That's a good game.
Yeah, they have a hit system. I never used it, but that is there.
I want to play it.
You should play it. I think
like
anyone that enjoys first-person puzzle games will absolutely enjoy this. All right, well, this might be the shortest review we've ever done.
Probably. It's hard. It's hard when it comes to puzzle games and stuff like that.
There's just there's kind of not really much else to say other than like, yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, did you have some sort of personal connection to the game?
I played it while laying in a tub of soil.
Did you play it in one sitting?
I did play in one sitting. Like I did get up to clean the cat hair out of my PS5.
But you played the whole game in one sitting?
Yes, I started the game, and that night it was finished.
Did you eat a whole box of Cheez-Its?
No, I ate ice cream from Friendly's.
Ooh, I haven't had Friendly's in a minute. We got one up the road. Hope it's not
sounds
bad.
like you could get it in a minute.
I could. Maybe.
Good.
Probably exactly 1 minute, yeah.
Well, I'm not stopping you. But these notable game releases are... We're going to start out. Lyle added a bunch in here. So
a lot of games in here.
Yeah, I'll start off. Gord is coming out on August 17th to PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and PC. This is a dark fantasy base building management sim. And just based on the games Lyle has been playing lately, this would make sense for her.
Next up, we have Shadow Gambit, The Cursed Crew, also coming August 17th to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. It is a pirate stealth strategy game. It's like top down. You get a lot of environmental pieces to work with to help take out enemies and whatnot, but just good old cute colored, bright poppy pirate game.
The trailer is in the form of like a sea shanty.
We like that.
Coming out on August 18th is Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. It's coming to PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, the Nintendo Switch, and PC. This is that game that is so Jet Set Radio.
Yep.
It is all about skateboarding and tagging, and it does
coming
have
to Game Pass, right?
If it is, that's great. But the person doing the music for this game is also the person who did the music for Jet Set Radio, and oh boy, those songs fucking awesome. So I'm excited to get some new jams.
All right, does not look like it is set for Game Pass. Also not set for Game Pass on the 18th, Madden NFL 24, if anyone cares. PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Just do fantasy.
I can't play Madden.
It's
bad for my health.
Mad.
I do.
Man.
Oof. Also on the 18th, it's a big week, is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre coming to PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. GameSpot gave that a 9.
Yeah, people
IGN gave it a 6.
people people are liking it, but
It just looks like another one of those
it
to me.
it
And I
is
know that
just
it's
another
not
one
for
of
me.
those. It's not for me either, and it's
It's
like
not for either of us.
it's not. Um, on the 21st of August, we have Kill the Crows coming to PC. Kind of looks like a little 8/16-bit little
816 bits.
a little 8 or 16-bit character dude running around. It's a little cowboy twin stick shooter. Looks like you're taking out zombies, crows.
Zombie crows.
Maybe the crows took over people and they're zombie crows. But it looks cute.
The day after that, August 22nd, WrestleQuest. That is what it got delayed to. That is coming to PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and Switch. This is a back-to-back week for WrestleQuest being on notable game releases.
I don't know if we've ever had that before.
I don't know if we have either, but as we said at the beginning of the episode, September 7th will be our review on that.
My next game will be Immortals of Avium, which is also coming out August 22nd to the PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. I am looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good, fun time. That should be out September 14th. And finally, Dylan, let's say it together.
Least.
On August 22nd, Fort Solis.
That was perfect.
That was right on cue. Let's clap.
It's coming to PS5, PC, and Mac. I forgot about this game.
It's up and down. It's on the cheaper side too. I think it's only like $35 or $40.
I love that.
But it's I don't know if it's like Resident Evil-y, but it's like a horror thriller suspense with both Roger Clark and Troy Baker and someone else too. I can't remember, but it's supposed to be a fucking interesting time. You got some big names.
All right,
that should do it.
That should do it. A whopping 35 minutes.
Hey,
or whatever the actual episode might be a little less.
That's all right. We'll be back next week and I'll be complaining, so it'll be a longer episode.
It will be a longer episode. This was a last minute change that had to be made for the WrestleQuest delay, so had to be a short little game. Only so much to say.
That's all right. But we do enjoy you stopping by. Thank you for listening. And while you're at it, shoot us a little comment. Throw us a little thumbs up. Subscribe, follow wherever you're listening. Spotify, Google, Apple, a toaster. They probably do that nowadays.
You think someone is selling a smart toaster that will also play podcasts?
Probably.
No, I'm gonna, before we leave, I have to look that up. Podcast toaster.
No, you can't look it up like that. Smart toaster.
Yeah, that's
radio.
Yeah, I was.
Hell yeah!
Results.
Yeah. No, they're real. It's got to be real.
Is it, or does it have to be?
I found one with a touch screen. You can.
That doesn't mean
you could play a radio on it.
I don't think it exists.
Bluetooth
toaster.
toaster.
No, it's not going to exist because this would require them putting like speakers in a toaster. Who's wasting your time with that? Doesn't exist. Nope. I do see a picture of a toaster with a sesame seed bagel in it, though.
Ooh, throw some butter on that bitch. That sounds good. Well, it exists somewhere.
I don't know. I don't think it does.
Just not for residential use.
Nope.
Only military and commercial.
Oh, yeah, of course. That's what the military needs. Podcast playing toasters.
They need to perfect it first.
Thanks for stopping by, Dave.
Thanks for letting me stop, Dylan.